What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great day. I just need someone out there to confirm that you guys can hear me. And then once you guys confirm, we're going to jump right into the draft talk because there's a lot to talk about. And then just stick around and wait for someone to confirm. Perfect. Thank you for confirming that, you guys. First and foremost, happy Sunday to everybody out there. And I appreciate you guys joining. I appreciate you guys being here. You know, it's Sunday. It's 5:14. I planned to do this about an hour ago, but I kind of got busy this Sunday. I had a lot to do today. I had a lot of errands to run. Going to a wedding next week, so I had to get ready for that, right? So definitely kind of got pushed back a little bit. But just so you guys know, every single Sunday, probably even Saturday, you know, I went live yesterday, but most likely just on Sundays around 4 o'clock West Coast time, every single Sunday, I'll be going live. And we'll just be talking about, you know, either the draft or you know, leading up to the draft or maybe it's training camp. We'll be talking everything Raiders. So if you guys want to join me live, Sundays are the time. I know some of you guys will watch this after it's already been live. So Sundays will be the time to watch it live. If you guys have questions or comments, Super Chats is the best way to get into it. Honestly, as we're going through this, anytime I have a Super Chat, I'll hold everything and we'll get right into that Super Chat. I already see a lot of these comments, man. So I appreciate you guys commenting. If you guys could just hit that thumbs up button, it really does help this video, and I really do appreciate it a ton. You know, the Raiders going into the draft had a ton of issues, right? Or coming into the offseason, we had a ton of issues. We lost players like Nelson Aguilar, and that was a big one, right? Losing Nelson Aguilar was not a small issue, right? That was a big deal. And then on top of that, we got rid of Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson. We initially cut Richie and Trent Brown, or I should say we traded Trent Brown and we traded Gabe and we traded Rodney. Or maybe we cut Trent. I don't think we traded him. Either way, you know, our coming into the offseason, our issues started piling on top of itself, right? And at a certain point, we really thought to ourselves, like, what are we doing, right? And you guys know that the media killed us, and I don't necessarily agree with that media narrative, right? I think the media is full of themselves, and I think as soon as one of the media talking heads pushes their point, everyone else kind of just jumps on board, and I never have agreed with that. But you know, coming into the offseason, man, Nelson Aguilar was gone. We had a couple of players that are up for free agency. And to be honest, our defense wasn't even that good, right? So like possibly losing players like Nicholas Morrow, Malik Collins, Kendall Vickers, right? Guys that were potential free agents. It was already, you know, it was already kind of tough, right? Like I wasn't 100% sure, like, what are we going to do? But the team started slowly coming together, right? Slowly and surely, we started getting our guys, right? Like we re-signed, obviously, Colton Miller. That's our future left tackle. At the same time, we re-signed Andre James to an extension, right? More than just what he's already with the Raiders. You know, we extended him. We brought in Nick Martin, who's a center, has a lot of experience. We brought in you know, some other players with receivers, right? I think brought in two with John Brown and Willie Snead. We started bringing our guys back as well, right? Nick Morrow, we got him on a 1-year contract. Then we started bringing other guys like Solomon Thomas, Quentin Jefferson, Yannick Ngage was a huge pickup. And then more recently, Carl Joseph. And I think that Carl Joseph one's a real big deal, right? Because if we did not get Carl Joseph, think about what would have happened going into the draft, right? The Raiders wouldn't have a true free safety, or they wouldn't really have their secondary complete because we still don't have a slot corner, right? Let me know who you guys think is going to be the Raiders slot corner going into the season. Is it someone that's already on the roster? Is it someone we have to pick up? Let me know in the comments below right now. But honestly, I am still unsure about that. But imagine if the Raiders did not bring back Carl Joseph, and imagine if we did not sign Carl Joseph. Our team would look lost, in my opinion, right? Because we still would not have a Carl Joseph. And we wouldn't have that free safety position filled. But now we do, and that gives us so many more options in the draft for the sole reason that we were able to get our free safety, and we don't really have many more positions. Honestly, if our team went into the offseason, the exact team, the way it is today, we don't add anyone in free agency, we don't add anyone in the draft, our team is ready to compete, right? And then what I mean by that is we can go into any given Sunday and pull a W out, right? Because our roster is there. I want to just quickly pause real quick and just give a shout out to the first super chat of the day. Huge appreciation to Jamizi 05. Jamizi, I hope I'm not saying that wrong. I'm pretty sure I am. I'm horrible with names, so but I do appreciate the super chat. $4.99 said, "What up, Sanjit? Love your content. I really appreciate the fact that you're here, man. You and the other 145 people, 146 people that are here live, talking, breaking down, who the Raiders can take with pick 17, our second round pick, and then even our 2 third-round picks. We're going to get into all of that and discuss this. And this video is going to be a great video, man. So I appreciate all of you guys that are here on this Sunday with me. I already see a ton of these comments, man. And I really appreciate it because these are the type of comments. Yesterday, believe it or not, I had almost 1,000 live chat comments. I checked the statistics after the video, and I decided I'm going to go through every single one of these. And I started highlighting some of them, but it became way too much. So I do appreciate all the people that interact, comment, and stay live with us here. So a huge shout out to all of you guys. I want to just give a quick statement here. Vegas Raiders said, "We will draft a tackle at 17, and believe it or not, that's a strong possibility, man. Do you guys think the Raiders will draft a tackle with pick 17? Because right now, that is what it's looking like. I've talked to a ton of people who are within the media groups that know some of the people that make decisions for these teams. And a lot of them think the Raiders are going to take a tackle. Now, obviously, I don't 100% trust any of these people because, they're the same people who think John Gruden's lost and he doesn't have a plan and all this other stuff. But I do kind of feel like the Raiders are going to take a right tackle. Carlos, I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate the comment. I want to just quickly get into basically who I think the Raiders need to take at 17. And I'm going to just give you guys my number one guy. Some of you guys already know who this is, but my number one guy, without a doubt, is Christian Barmore. And I want to talk about him. And then we'll get into a couple other options and some of the things the Raiders can do, not only at like the right tackle position, but just get into the draft a little bit, right? Christian Barmore is going to be a special player in the NFL. Christian Barmore right now, the Alabama defensive tackle, for those of you guys that don't know, Christian Barmore is a 6'5", 315-pound defensive tackle. On top of that, he is one of those guys that knows how to use his hands. He knows how to get off the line of scrimmage really quickly. He's explosive, and he has a good first point of contact with the offensive lineman. He can win right then and there at the point of attack. And I truly believe that if Christian Barmore is there, the Raiders need to pull the trigger. Our defensive tackles are not that good, and that is a concern of mine. Do you guys have concerns with the defensive tackle position still? Let me know in the comments below, yes or no. If so, are there free agents out there, someone else in the draft other than Barmore that you guys would target? The Raiders need to fix their defensive tackle position, and they need to make sure they have their right tackle. If they don't have a right tackle, that's going to hinder this team, and that's going to really set us back. Easily the most important positions right there on the O-line and D-line, right tackle, defensive tackle. Specifically from the defensive tackle position, we need a guy that can pass rush. And that is easily the most important part of what we need to do in the draft. Now, huge shout out to Angel Mack for leaving a $4.99 super chat. Great question. I really appreciate it. What's your opinion on Arden Key? Does he still have an upside, or is he what he is? At this point, Arden Key is what he is, and it sucks because when you watch Arden Key, especially in his first year and his second year, Arden Key was beating people off the line of scrimmage, and then like he'd grab onto a guy and then he'd just slip, right? And he slipped right off and he wouldn't get the sack. Maybe someone else gets the sack. But he would cause pressure and he would beat players. And unfortunately, Arden Key, in my personal opinion, just does not fit the system. Arden Key, in my opinion, is not a true 4-3 defensive end. And that's going to hinder him in our system. And the reason why that's going to hinder Arden Key in our system is because Arden Key needs to be in a position where if he's playing as a 3-4 outside linebacker as opposed to a 4-3 defensive end, a 4-3 defensive end has to do so much more in the run game. At times they have to spill. At times they have to be able to get upfield, set the edge. As a 3-4 outside linebacker, it's a little bit easier, right? You don't have to do any of that. You just have to contain the outsides and just make sure everything goes back to the inside. That's all you have to do. And if Arden Key was given that task, that, hey, all you have to do is just make sure no one gets to the outside of you. If that was the case, I think he would be a fantastic football player. Now, here's the thing. Arden Key, I don't know if he's going to be back at the Raiders, especially because he's like the fifth guy, right? I mean, Yannick Ngakoue, Cleveland Farrell, Max Crosby. You can even put Carl Nassib in front of Arden Key because he's had more success. And then that's not even considering like, Solomon Thomas, a defensive end or a defensive tackle. Either way, I think Arden Key is going to end up going somewhere else. And I think another team is going to get the best of him. I want to know what you guys think about Arden Key, man. I do think he can still grow, and I think he can still get better. But unfortunately, with the Raiders right now, we just don't have the snaps that could be given to a player like Key. I think if Arden Key goes to another team, he's going to have an impact for that team. At the same time, it's kind of like some of our other defensive linemen, right? You look at like Danico Autry, Shelby Harris, Mario Edwards, I think, is still in the NFL too. You look at some of our other defensive linemen. Benson Mayo was another example. They're guys who really didn't do a ton with the Raiders. The Raiders gave up on them all after like 3 or 4 seasons. And then those guys have went elsewhere and developed as they've gotten older, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th year. And now those guys are actually good players for other teams. I think that's going to be, unfortunately, the same case with Arden Key. And I see some of you guys' comments saying Arden Key sucks. I think he can still be a good NFL player. He just has to, things just have to click for him, right? Obviously, I know it hasn't worked out yet for him, but I think it could still work out. Let's jump back into it's first and foremost, thank you for the super chat, Angel Mac. I want to get into this super chat, and then we're going to get right into the draft talk and talk about some of the guys that I think the Raiders should target at 17 and why I think we should take those guys. George Asuna, thank you for the comment. After signing Carl Joseph, do you think we'll still need an alpha cornerback like Richard Sherman? I think yes. I think the Raiders should absolutely still take a corner if they could, like Richard Sherman. I would not by no means draft the corner, right? Unless J.C. Horn fell to 17 and you are 100% confident that he is the next superstar corner, which some people do think he is, which makes me think he's not going to fall to pick 17. But if he does, right, and you're confident in him, that's the only way I would take a corner. But we talked a little bit about this yesterday. The issues right now with the Raiders is you look at our corners, right? There's 5 of the 6 corners on our team right now that are either going into their 2nd or 3rd season. That's just too young, man. Your group of corners is too young. So if you think about it, Carl Joseph's a good player. He sets the tone, right? He has that alpha mentality. And we have a bunch of young players, right? Even our secondary, right? Like Levitt, Jonathan Abram, they're young guys too, right? So Carl Joseph's the oldest secondary player, or maybe it's Nevin Lawson, but Lawson suspended. Richard Sherman makes a whole lot of sense, man. That's a guy that can come in and really have a positive impact. He could set the tone. He can teach guys what to look for, right? He's a high IQ football player. I would love Richard Sherman, man, but unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know why. I just have a slight feeling it's not going to happen, right? Again, thank you for the super chat. If you guys have questions or comments and you guys want to be featured on the show, super chats will 100% be featured. And of course, if I see a comment as I'm just reading this live, And I think it's a great comment. We'll feature that one as well. I want to actually just talk about another target at pick 17, and I really want to know what you guys think. How would you guys feel if the Raiders took Jamin Davis, the linebacker for Kentucky? You know, it's interesting because there's two views of Jamin Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky. The two views is this, right? The media view is he's overrated. There's no way he's a top 15 to top 25 pick. He's like a second to third round player. That's the media view of him, right? And then there's the football scouts, there's the GMs, right? And there's this whole community of the guys that understand the game of football. And they say Jamin Davis could be a top 12, 13 pick. If Micah Parsons gets taken in the top 5, the next best linebacker is Jamin Davis. Other people say he could be a top 25 at the, there's no way he gets past pick 25, right? The talking heads of football, the people who understand the game, their opinions much different than the media guys, the analysts, and those type of people, right? I would take Jamin Davis at pick 17 if the Raiders are 100% certain that they want to take a linebacker that's going to have that impact. I would consider taking him. Now, here's the thing, right? With Jamin Davis. The Raiders right now already have Corey Littleton and they already have Nicholas Morrow, and that's kind of what Jamin Davis does, right? Now, I do think Davis is a better player than both of those guys. There's probably 3 linebackers in this class that if the Raiders took any 3 of them, they'd instantly be our best linebacker. Maybe Nick Kwiatkowski would probably be better the first year or 2. But Micah Parsons and Jamin Davis and, of course, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, also known as JOK, those are the 3 linebackers that, in my personal opinion, day one, they're the Raiders' best linebackers, which is sad, right? It is sad. I mean, maybe Kwiatkowski's better for the short term, but over time, I do think any of those 3 guys would be better. Michael Parsons, the Raiders should trade up for him. I said this on Twitter. He's the one guy that I would trade up for, right? And if somehow Michael Parsons is there at pick 17, which 99.9% positive that he will not be there at pick 17. If somehow he gets there, the Raiders should pull the trigger, man. There's nothing else to it. He's going to be a fantastic player. I want to get back into super chats. 2 new super chats came in. Huge shout out to both of them, and we'll feature and talk about both of them. And then we'll get into the next guy that I think the Raiders should target at pick 17. And if you guys have any thoughts, any questions, comments on the draft or anything related to who you guys would take and why you take them, let me know in the comments below. You leave a super chat and we'll get you on the show. Marcus Lycan, and I apologize if I say your last name wrong, Lycon. Thank you for the super chat, man. I really, really appreciate it. Can you give us some video breakdowns on Gus Bradley's defensive system from Seahawks to Chargers days? I can absolutely break some film down. But at the same time, I can actually just discuss with you guys really quickly some of the differences, right? One of the differences right off the bat between the early 2010 decades, when Gus Bradley was with the Seattle Seahawks, as opposed to his last position, which was with the Chargers. One of the differences right off the bat that I see is the fact that when he was with the Seahawks, Gus Bradley played a ton more base defense, right? And what I mean by that is he had his 4 defensive linemen, right? Kind of swapped out a bunch of different people, but his linebackers would always be KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, and Bruce Irvin, right? Those would be the guys. And then on the back end, you'd have, of course, I think his name was Brandon Browner. I can't remember if that was the corner's name. I'm pretty sure it was. That corner swapped out a little bit. And then Richard Sherman on the other side, of course, Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. But they played a lot of base defense when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. That was Gus Bradley's thing, right? Base defense, like 85% of the time. You could put 4 wide receivers out there, and they would just line up in base defense, and they'd whoop your ass, right? And that was because they had the players, they had the talent, and they had the scheme. However, with the Chargers, Gus Bradley's defense changed. With the Chargers, he stopped playing base, and he started playing nickel way more. And I feel like that's kind of because of the changes that have happened in the NFL, right? You look in the early 2010s, And in the early 2010s, it was kind of like, all right, let's run the football. Let's, throw it for 5 yards or for 8 yards. As opposed to like 2015 forward, we're looking at like guys that are throwing the ball 40 yards downfield on every other throw, right? You have guys like Aaron Rodgers dominate, Patrick Mahomes dominating. And I think that kind of made Gus Bradley evolve his defense and shift going away from base and getting into that nickel. And at the same time, right, like your players change as well too, right? So like you get different guys. And it's good that he's able to make those adjustments, right? Year-to-year adjustments, because Paul Gunther in 3 years could not get anything right. And I feel like that hindered the Raiders. And I do plan to do a full film breakdown. So I appreciate the $5 super chat, Marcus. A huge shout out to you. Let's get into the next one. Raider Rabbit, what would you do if we pick a wide receiver? Laughing my ass off. Also love your stuff. Keep it up. Hashtag Raider Rabbit. Huge shout out to you, man. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Is Raider Rabbit, hashtag Raider Rabbit, is that a real hashtag? Like, does it trend on social media? I'm gonna have to check it out, man. But huge shout out to you. So I really appreciate the super chat. And it's a good question, right? Like, how would I feel if the Raiders took a wide receiver? To be 100% honest, you guys, I would not mind if the Raiders took a wide receiver with the 17th pick, but it depends on which receiver you take, right? Like, I would be upset if we took I don't know, like the USC wide receiver, right? A guy who's going to be a second or third round player, and we took him with the 17th pick. Because with John Gruden, you just never know, man. You don't know how his draft is kind of drawn up, right? Like he took Cleveland Farrell when we all kind of wanted Josh Allen or Montez Sweat. And those two guys are having an impact, an immediate impact in their first 2 years. And Cleveland Farrell is still kind of struggling, right? Obviously, year 3 will be the year to really know, was that the right decision or not? Right now, it doesn't look like it was. Same thing with Henry Ruggs, right? Like, I'm okay with the pick, but if you guys followed me last year, Henry Ruggs was my number 7 wide receiver. I had 6 other guys in front of him. All 6 of those guys had better rookie years than did Henry Ruggs, right? And we took Henry Ruggs as the first receiver off the board. I'm fine if CeeDee Lamb's gone, if Jerry Jeudy's gone, if those guys are gone and then you take Henry Ruggs, I'd be fine with that. But the fact that Gruden took Henry Ruggs over CeeDee Lamb, at this point, if Gruden took a wide receiver, I'd really have to know which wide receiver it is, right? Would you guys be upset if the Raiders took a wide receiver? I would not mind, man. I would not mind at all, because I think right now, our offense, we're not as good blocking as we were last year, right? It's just a fact. Our O-line is not going to be as good. Rodney Hudson's a very hard player to replace. Gabe Jackson was always a good player as well. But it was necessary that we get cheaper. And if you have more weapons, right, maybe Carr doesn't have to continue to hold the ball for that long, right? Maybe he can get the ball into his playmaker's hands. Now, I would love to get Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. And people are going to say, oh, there's no way they can get those guys. You guys would be surprised, man. Henry Ruggs was the first receiver taken last year. Jerry Jeudy went second, CeeDee Lamb went third. And then look at all the other guys that got drafted in the first round, right? You had in the top 33, right? The first round, as well as the first pick of the second round, which was the Cincinnati Bengals. You had 7 wide receivers go in the top 33, but none of them went in the top 10. So don't be surprised if no wide receivers go in the top 10. And the Raiders have a shot at Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. Now, I don't think they're going to get Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is going to end up going top 10. But Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those guys could hit at 17. You never know what could happen, right? Receivers are not valued as high. Great question, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to jump into this next super chat. Efron Lopez, do you think Raiders take a wide receiver? For example, if in the third Amon-Ra St. Brown falls, you think the Raiders pulled the trigger? So thank you for the question. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the wide receiver from USC, and I'm probably saying that wrong. I would not be surprised, man. Don't be surprised at all if the Raiders took a wide receiver. You can have 4 or 5 guys, and you guys got to keep in mind, right? We saw Bryan Edwards a little bit, we saw Henry Ruggs a little bit, but John Gruden saw those guys every single day in practice. John Gruden sees Hunter Renfrow every single day in practice. don't be surprised if John Gruden thinks to himself that these guys are not the guys that we want, right? Don't be surprised at all if that ends up happening, because it is a possibility. John Gruden can already think to himself, I need a different wide receiver, man. I need a different wide receiver, and you never know what could happen in the draft. I really appreciate the $4.99 super chat. Again, super chats really, really mean a lot because they do go a long way. I'll just give you guys an example. This video here has already been unmonetized by Google. I don't know why they do this, man. Sometimes they'll unmonetize a video as I go live. Like, for some reason, they'll just unmonetize it right away. I don't know if it's like in the thumbnail or what's going on, but these super chats really make up for it, and it makes the videos worth it. It makes me spending an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours doing these videos. It makes it worth it, right? So I appreciate the super chat. Just to fully answer the question, don't be surprised if the Raiders took a wide receiver. I like the USC wide receiver. I think he's a second-round pick. And the receiving group is pretty deep this year. And the thing is this year, as opposed to last year, we knew who the players were, right? Like, we knew who every single receiver was. We knew the top 15 wide receivers and how any of them can go anywhere, right? Brian Edwards was a first-round talent. He only fell because of his injury. But he was a first-round talent. People were saying he was one of the top 5 wide receivers in the class. And the Raiders got a huge steal in him, right? There's going to be a lot of receivers this year, and the Raiders could pull the trigger and get a guy who could end up with 800 yards his rookie year, right? Getting into this next super chat, Timothy Crosby, any relation to Maxman? Let me know in the comments below. But Timothy Crosby said, no quarterback for us in this draft. We should take an offense tackle or trade back. Either that or we take the best available defensive player, prefer a defensive tackle or linebacker. Raider Nation for life. Thank you for the comment, man. I really, really appreciate it. Let's discuss this, man. First and foremost, the Raiders would be dumb to take a quarterback, especially with pick 17, knowing that the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks are all going to be gone off the board. And it doesn't make sense, right? You have Derek and you have Marcus. If Derek doesn't work out, you have Marcus, right? If Marcus isn't the guy, you trade him away and you have Derek. Either way, you don't need another quarterback, especially now with pick 17. Now, if you're going to trade Marcus, take a quarterback in the 7th round if you want, right? If there's a guy that could be like the practice, third string guy that could run the team drills on the offense side of the ball. Take a guy in the 7th round, get an undrafted guy. There's no point of drafting a quarterback, especially now at pick 17. But I agree, man. Let's get our future right tackle, right? A guy that's going to be cheap for the next 5 years. As long as it's not a bust and you don't reach for someone, I would be very, very hesitant with taking anything other than an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle, or a linebacker with the 17th pick, because we don't really need anything else, right? Like maybe a free safety if you really wanted to give Gus Bradley a playmaker above Carl Joseph or Jonathan Abram. But at the same time, you really have to consider, like, does it make sense to take a free safety in the 1st round when Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor were late round guys? Even Richard Sherman, right? All these guys were late round guys, and they all had good impacts with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't even know really the Chargers players outside of Derwin James, and I know Derwin James was a highly picked player. I don't think it makes a sense. I don't think it makes sense other than these guys right here. I want to actually talk about this comment real quick. Dre the Great, thank you for the comment. Can you get you Washington from TCU in the 4th? He has range. Darius Washington is a safety that plays with TCU. 4th round, I think he's gonna be well gone. I think he's a 2nd round player. A lot of people love Trayvon Morag, but people don't give Darius Washington the credit he deserves. The guy is a really good player, in my personal opinion. Thank you for the comment, man. I really, really appreciate it. And have another super chat here from Larry Malet. Again, I apologize if I said your name wrong. $4.99 super chat. Some people feel Devontae Smith or Waddle will drop to 15-20 range. If one of them are there, does Gruden lose all discipline and grab another wide receiver? It's hilarious because all of us never say like, oh, Gruden wants this guy. We always say Gruden's going to like reach, or, he can't control himself. And, it kind of fits, man. Like Gruden's like that wacky guy, right? That will just do something no matter what, right? But yeah, some people have said that there is a chance that happens. There is a chance Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle drop to the 15 to 20 range. Last year, a lot of receivers went, and how many of those guys had like huge impacts, right? Other than Justin Jefferson, a lot of other receivers, they're just average wide receivers. Now, obviously, they're all rookies. Second year is going to be the year to really see who's a superstar and who's not. But receiver is not a position that's very, very important, all right, in my personal opinion. I just don't think it's that important of a position. I think, the Raiders last year were perfectly fine with Nelson Aguilar and a rookie in Henry Ruggs, a late round pick in Hunter Renfrow. Of course, we have Darren Waller, right? Would you guys rather have Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle? Let me know in the comments below. Personally, I would rather have Devontae Smith. But if you gave me the option between Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs, I would rather have Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle is the next Tyreek Hill. I think Jalen Waddle has real speed, right? And what I mean by that is Henry Ruggs is fast. If you throw him the ball and he's just running straight or at an angle or whatever. Jalen Waddle has 0 to 100 speed. And what I mean by that is Jalen Waddle can catch the ball, take 3 steps to his right, stop himself, and then boom, he'll take off. And that's the kind of speed Tyreek Hill has. And Jalen Waddle has that, in my opinion. But I would still take Devontae Smith over Waddle because I think speed is overrated, right? Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Calvin Johnson. How fast are these guys, right? And these are the top tier wide receivers. Let's get into the next super chat. I really appreciate it, Larry, for the super chat. Delta Sportman, love your name, by the way, man. How much success do you really think Yannick can have without any push from the front of the line? Thank you again for the super chat. I really, really, really appreciate it. And it's actually a really good question. What do you guys think, right? Like, do you guys think, and what Delta Sportman is actually saying is, how much success will Yannick Ngakoue have without interior push, right? Basically, Clelin Ferrell and Max Crosby multiple times were coming off the edge, right? Assuming my microphone is a quarterback, they would come up and this quarterback would just step up and they would just run right around him, right? And it's weird because I just said my microphone's a quarterback. But these guys would get pressure from the outside, and Jonathan Hankins or whoever else was in the middle, Malik Collins, they weren't able to get that interior push, and it was really hindering our pass rush, right? Because at a certain point, offensive linemen understand that, hey, I can take this 45 set angle and I can just, get my left hand and just ride the guy upfield and just let him run past the quarterback. That happened a lot last year, and it's a good point that you're making, and I think that is why you take a guy like Christian Barmore. I think if you have Christian Barmore can beat any center, any guard right off the line of scrimmage, and he'll put the instant interior pressure, right? The thing that I absolutely love about Christian Barmore is the fact that at the point of attack, the second the ball is snapped, he'll hit the either it's a guard or center, he'll hit them, shed them, and get to the quarterback super quickly. He isn't the fastest guy, right? That's just a fact. He is not a Quinnen Williams, Aaron Donald type of a defensive tackle where he's just super quick. But he's more like Akeem Hicks, right? Fletcher Cox, where he's bigger, but he still has great feet and great hands. And those guys work. And if you can get that guy, which is exactly what I think Christian Barmore is, I think you get him because Yannick Ngakoue, Max, and Clelin Ferrell, these guys fail without having that in their game, right? Without having that guy get pressure right to the middle, you fail, right? You're going to fail. And I would not want to see Yannick Ngakoue fail. I want to see him succeed, and you have to get that interior pass rush. Now, at the same time, what do you guys think about Kendall Vickers? I might be just overly high on Kendall Vickers, but Vickers last year, I think, had 2 or 3 sacks in limited playing time. But on top of that, especially against the Chiefs, man, the way he used his hands, the way he was able to beat people at the point of attack, to me, it was very impressive. And If he's able to continue doing that, we might not need to take a defensive tackle. He might be the guy. I think he's much better than Malik Collins, and he's only going into it, I think, his third season in the NFL. I think he could be one of those guys that could have success. I want to jump forward into the next super chat. Thank you, Chandler, Sanjit, goat emoji. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that, man. So that's it means a lot. I love reading these comments. They do really mean a lot to me. I'm gonna get into the next super chat. Jose Lopez, and I apologize, man. This happened yesterday where like I'm going through the comments, and for some freaking reason, like it'll kind of like skip down. And I hope there wasn't any other super chats above Jose. I don't think there was, but he said, "What's up, Sanjit? Love your content. I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate the 330 plus of you guys that are watching right now. Hit that thumbs up button, man. That shit really does help me, and I really do appreciate it. And I also want to know, man, like, who do you guys want to see film studies on? Like, do you guys want to see college prospects? Do you guys want to see current Raiders players? Do you guys like what is it you guys want to see? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get into the next super chat. Ben Bad said, "Thanks for all your hard work. I appreciate your videos and your info. Raider Nation for life." I love you, man. I really do, and I really appreciate the comment because Raider Nation for life is the hashtag, man. It's not like it's a party, right? Raider Nation for life. So I appreciate it. Kevin Lurker. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Can you do a quick comparison between Darrisaw and Cosmi? I really appreciate all your breakdowns. Absolutely, man. Let's discuss these two guys because this video is a draft video, right? We're supposed to be talking about the draft, and a lot of super chats. I really appreciate it. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. First and foremost, Christian Darrisaw is the left tackle of Virginia Tech. Samuel Cosmi, left tackle of Texas. Both guys are going to be great players. Now, Christian Darrisaw, in my personal opinion, right? Christian Darrisaw, I think he's more pro ready right now. I think he's going to come in day one. He can be a left tackle. He can be a right tackle. He can be left guard. He can be right guard. You put him anywhere you want, and he'll do it. And he's going to be a great pro. The thing with Darrisaw is he's ready right away, right? He's a plug and play, and I don't think Samuel Cosmi is. But I will say this. Christian Darrisaw, in my opinion, outside of Penei Sewell, right? Penei Sewell is not the best pass blocker. He is not the best run blocker. He is not that today. I think Samuel Cosmi and Christian Darrisaw are both better run blockers than is Penei Sewell. The thing with Sewell is he's 20 years old right now, right? And the fact that he's 20 years old right now, and the fact that he's so fast, so quick, so big and strong, super explosive, and he's 20 years old, that's kind of risen his draft status a little bit. And I do think he's being a little overhyped, right? I don't think there's a huge difference between Penei Sewell and even someone like Rashawn Slater, left tackle from Northwestern. I don't think there's a big difference between those two guys and Christian Darrisaw. Now, I think Christian Darrisaw is obviously better than Samuel Cosmi today. But I don't think there's a big difference between Penei Sewell, Christian Darrisaw, and Rashawn Slater. I think those guys are all right there. And you can even throw Tevin Jenkins in there. The thing with Tevin Jenkins is I don't know how well he's going to have a long career because he seems kind of stiff, in my personal opinion. He doesn't have great bend. And those things matter for offensive tackles, right? That's why you look at a guy like Samuel Cosmi, and you can put him up there as a top 20 pick because he has that. He has bend. He has great flexibility. He's already a great run blocker. Samuel Cosmi is my number one run blocking offensive tackle. The guy gets it, man. He's like Colton Miller when it comes to run blocking, right? He gets all the angles. He understands every little thing he has to do to win, right? And those are the things that matter. If you allowed me to make a pick between Darrisaw and Cosmi, I'm taking Darrisaw 100% of the time. Really appreciate the question. That's actually a great question, and I love getting those type of questions. As a former offensive lineman, O-line is what I love watching, right? $4.99 super chat from Bennett does it. Really appreciate the super chat, man. It really does go a long way, so I really appreciate that. Ruggs has no short area quickness. He is a bust. He is a sprinter only. market here today. Oh, what up, Sanjit? What's going on, man? I really appreciate it, Bennett. That's, I don't want to label anyone a bust because I want to give every player a fair shot unless I'm confident that they are 100% a bust. I'm not confident on saying Ruggs is a bust. It really depends, like what you guys think a bust is, right? Like how quick are you to label a player a bust? I'm not as quick to label someone a bust. But you're right. He doesn't have short area quickness, right? Jalen Waddle does. Tyreek Hill does. Deshaun Jackson, in my opinion, used to have that. I don't think Henry Ruggs has that. Henry Ruggs has straight line speed, and I don't like it. But let's hope it pans out, and let's hope it works out. Again, huge shout out to you. Getting into the next one, DZ12. I really appreciate the $5 super chat. He said, "What's up, Sanjit? Bro, I know I wanted another version of Waller, which was a comment you left just a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday to be exact. But now I feel like Coach Gruden and Gus might go another cornerback. What do you think? I would not be surprised, man, if that happens, like at all. John Gruden and Gus Bradley, they know what's wrong with this team. And one of the things that's wrong with this team is the cornerback position. We're young, and we might be too young, honestly. And that could really hinder this team. Being too young, it could be bad, man. I mean, think about all the corners we have that are all the guys that we have, 5 corners, throwing 2 safeties, that are all basically in their third season or less, and that's going to have some sort of impact. Now, if you take another corner, you're just adding a 7th or 8th young guy. At some point, we have to let these guys develop, and at some point, we have to just see where we could get with these guys, right? And maybe bring in a veteran like Sherman, Casey Hayward, Trey Boston is still out there, Malik Hooker is still out there. And of course, I'm surprised we let Anthony Harris go to, I think, Philly for $5 million a year. I don't know what the hell we're thinking, but obviously that's what Gus Bradley felt was right. I want to actually make a point really quickly. EC Everett made the point, and I just kind of want to shout it out. Raiders were 8-5 with Ruggs in the lineup at 28.6 points per game. Without Ruggs in the lineup, they're 0 for 3, 23.3 points per game. That's a great, in general, it looks like it's a great statement, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with Henry Ruggs being the sole reason as to why we're 0-3 without him, and why we average less points without him. Like, I would love to see what teams we played without him, kind of see like what happened in those games without him, because I don't think Ruggs is the difference of 5 points per game. And I don't think Ruggs is the reason why we lost 3 more games. That's just my personal opinion. But I do like that comment. Timothy Crosby just became a member. Huge shout out to you, man. I have not been putting as much member content only out there, but a lot of it is coming. I've been thinking about different ways to kind of do things for the members, right? I thought about doing like a live video where only members can comment, but then I know that kind of makes it boring for some of you other guys, right? Kevin Lurker, Bickers is going to be like Autry, not mentioned and then released to thrive on another team. I really hope that does not happen, man. I think the Raiders are actually his 3rd team in the NFL. I'm pretty sure he was on the Saints and maybe one other team. And I hope, man, I hope he can have it click with us. Get into the next super chat. Don Burr, what's up, Detroit in the damn building? Huge shout out to you, man. I see that you have a Detroit Lions hat, so I'm gonna assume you're a Detroit Lions fan. Huge shout out to you, man. You left the $2 super chat, so I do appreciate that. I actually saw a comment just a second ago. So Jimmy C said film study Brandon Parker, so you'll agree we need the right tackle first. And then Joseph Soto, let's see some film on Andre James. So I have done a film study on Andre James. Unfortunately, it wasn't monetized, and it was my #1 video in like the last 5 months, right? And I was kind of upset over that, but it is what it is. It happens, and it's not a huge deal. But the film study is out there. Go check it out. I asked the question earlier. I said, Timothy Crosby, are you related to Max? And he said, all Crosbys are family. What about a defensive tackle in the second round? I appreciate the comment, man. That's great. There's great comment. I wouldn't mind taking a defensive tackle in the second round, right? There's a lot of defensive tackles in this draft. We don't know what's going to happen with them, right? You got the Pitt defensive tackle, Jalen Thyman. You have Davion Nixon from Iowa. There's a couple other good defensive tackles as well. But I don't know if any of these guys, I know the Pitt guy for sure is going to be a great NFL player, or at least a really good NFL player. I don't know if any of the other guys outside of Christian Barmore is. And we'll see what kind of happens. But I would definitely consider taking a defensive tackle in the second round. If you guys can be confident that this is going to be the guy. Douglas LaFarlette said Cosmi is much like Miller. Yes, he 100% is. Cosmi is athletic and nasty. And I agree, man. I think Samuel Cosmi is very, very, very athletic. Let's get into this next super chat. Chris Crane left a $5 super chat. Huge shout out to you, man. Super chats go a really, really long way. Hi, Sanjit. Thanks for all you do. Would you take wide receiver Wallace at 79/80? And or running back Stevenson at 121. First and foremost, I would not take a wide receiver in our top 3 rounds. Like I just wouldn't do it. Unless you're going to take one at 17, and that's Devontae Smith because he somehow falls, and you really feel like your O-line set, and hopefully Denzel Good could play right tackle. I'm not sure who the running back is, Stevenson, that you mentioned. Just give you guys some information. I do all offensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers. That's what I solely focus on, right? Like I don't do receivers. I don't do running backs, quarterbacks, safeties, corners. I stay away from those positions because that's not really something that I feel like I'm 100% confident in. And I do watch corners too. I do watch safeties, especially if there's guys that the Raiders could possibly take. But especially when it comes to this draft season, I did start late, right? And then I've kind of been open with you guys about that. I did start late this draft season, and part of that was because of the fact my work was so busy. And that's also one of the reasons why I want to get away from doing the 9 to 5 and just be a full-time content creator. I opened a second YouTube channel, and the primary reason for that was I looked at it like between this channel and my second channel, if I could, that would allow me to basically get away from doing the 9 to 5. Just being a full-time content creator, right? So that is my goal. That is why I did create that second account. So if you guys are not already subscribers to that second account, go check it out. Basically, you can just put in Sanjit and it will come up. Again, I really, really appreciate the super chat. Chris, thank you. Getting to this next one, Safwan Malik, Canadian, $3.99. Huge shout out to my Canadian followers. I really appreciate it. Can you do a video on Micah versus JOK? Shout out from Canada, California. I don't know why. CCA and I also think California, but shout out from Canada. Huge shout out to you, man. So I did do a video on Micah Parsons on my second YouTube channel. The channel is just Sanjit Tour, first and last name. Appreciate the super chat once again. And I do think Micah Parsons is going to be like that next. He's going to be that next alpha superstar linebacker. I don't see him falling to pick 17. And you know what's crazy about Micah Parsons that a lot of people don't know? He played defensive end in high school. And I think he played quarterback or something as well on the offense side. But he was originally brought in as a defensive end, and that was what he was going to do. But he was such a freakish player that they shifted him to a linebacker, and he was just as great as a linebacker as he was a defensive end. I personally think Micah Parsons can create a whole new position in the NFL. I 100% believe Micah Parsons could be like a 3-4 outside linebacker, right, / defensive end, who drops in coverage 50% of the time, who comes off the edge 50% of the time. And he would be like the one guy that would succeed and be able to do both things, right? Like Micah Parsons can cover Hunter Renfrow, right? And at the same time, he can beat offensive tackles, right? Like Mitchell Schwartz and some of these other good offensive tackles. He'll beat both of those guys at the same time, be able to cover, right? Parsons is special, man. If somehow he falls to like pick 13, I would highly, highly, highly consider trading up and getting him. Even if it costs us two first rounds, a first and a second, a first and a multiple second or thirds, I would highly consider it because he's going to be special, right? That's going to be a fact. And some people have talked a little bit about him and his he has character concerns. I don't think he does. I looked into the whole situation. I don't think he has any. I don't think he has any character concerns at all. Going into the next super chat, Koljeet Tour, who, if you guys don't know, is my older brother. He's left super chats in the past. He said WrestleMania is on right now. Any takes on that? So I don't really watch wrestling anymore. I didn't know WrestleMania was on. But if you guys are out there on this live right now, not watching WrestleMania, but are fans of the WWE, a huge shout out to you guys for being here, as opposed to watching WrestleMania, right? I don't really have any takes on that, but I appreciate the super chat. Huge shout out to my brother. I'll be seeing him next week. I said in the beginning of the video, but I do have a wedding to attend next week. So a huge shout out to you. I saw that there were a couple more super chats. One came from my man Raider Honcho, and we're going to get into that. First and foremost, if you guys are not subscribed to Raider Honcho, you guys need to either click his super chat or just put it into your guys' YouTube search bar and put in Raider Honcho. The guy makes fantastic content. Huge shout out to him. Me and him will be doing some live videos or just making some videos in general together, either this week or the week after. We'll kind of see if we can get together. I'll kind of keep you guys updated on that. But Raider Honcho says, I like free safety at 17, but Barmore would make our front seven better, which will take pressure off the back end. But if we take a free safety late, we can't afford to miss. Absolutely agree. And I want to know your thoughts on Carl Joseph, and maybe we can get into that when we get together. But I do like the idea of taking a free safety at 17, but I just don't know if like Trayvon Moreg is the guy. I don't know. I just kind of feel like I just don't have, I don't know. Some people have said that Moreg is the next Tyrann Mathieu, right? I've seen that comparison. I don't see it at all, man. When Tyrann Mathieu was at LSU, right before he got kicked out, he was a Heisman front runner, right? Like he could have possibly won Heisman the year before he got kicked out of LSU. And even then, like, he was still on my radar, and I had him as a first-round player, and I thought this guy was special. I would have taken him in the first round. You look at Budda Baker when he came out, and I would have taken Budda Baker in the first round. But I don't know if Moreg has that skill that those two guys do. And both of those guys, maybe not Mathieu as much because he is a little bit older now, but Budda Baker's the top 5 safety in the league. And I 100% believe that. Moreg, I don't see it. But if we do not take a safety in the first round, and we do take a guy like Richie Grant, Holland, there's a couple other guys like Johnson. If we do take one of these guys in the later round, second, third round, you're right, man. We can't miss, man. We cannot miss. But I would take Barmore because you're right. He will make our front better. And it will take pressure off the back end. And I feel like that's something that sometimes people don't necessarily understand, that when you have a good pass rush, you don't have to be great on the back end, right? These first, second, third year corners, they're going to just get better because of the fact that you have pressure in the front, right? And of course, we've been missing that interior pressure, right? So huge shout out to Raider Honcho for the $4.99 super chat. Let's get into the next one. This one comes from Jack Kenna, $5. Shout out to the Raiders fans I see here all the time. Who are the best slot corners in the draft? The Raiders need one. You know what? It's interesting because slot corners is such a hard position, but there is one guy that I'm very, very high on. I don't know where he's going to end up going. But that's Oklahoma Sooner corner Trey Norwood. I think the guy's going to be a fantastic player. I don't know where he's going to end up going, right? Some people are saying he's going to be like a third round or later, but I think he's going to be a great player. The slot corner is always the hardest position to find, right? How many good slot corners are there in the NFL right now, right? Like, it's really hard to know for sure because it's just that one position where it is difficult. But you're right, and I want to talk a little about that first part of your comment. You said shout out to the Raider fans that you see here all the time. Shout out to all of you guys, man, because I do go back and I do read all of these comments, and it's the same people all the time that are commenting, man. And I know as we go live more often, I know as we're more consistent with the times that we go live, I know more of you guys will be joining here consistently. Right now, like I started this stream at like 5:15 when I had told you guys I'd be on at 4. At the same time, I went live yesterday. It was the first time I ever went live on a Saturday. So I do apologize for the inconsistencies, but we will have that down, right? And once we do, I hope to continue seeing all of you guys here. There's 300 plus of you guys on right now. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Safwan Malik said, I skipped his super chat. Let me see if I can scroll up. I do apologize. Sometimes they don't come in. Yeah, so I do apologize, man. If you have the question, just ask it right now. And if I come across it, I will find it. If not, I plan to do a video probably on Wednesday. And I'm going to write your name down and find your super chat. And I will for sure answer your question first. Like, I will start this video with your question. So I do apologize. Sometimes they don't come over on my side. Jimmy C said, we have 2 first-round safeties already. That's a great point, man. That is a really a good point because we do have a couple of we have 2 to be exact, first-round safeties. Adding another safety in the first round, I don't know, right? I do think Jonathan Abrams is a special player. Carl Joseph, obviously, we all know he is what he kind of is, but Morag, maybe he's special. I don't know. I know Raider Honcho knows a lot more about safeties. If don't quote me on this, I believe he played safety. I believe. Don't quote me on that. And I think he coaches secondary as well. Again, don't quote me on that, but we will be going live together, and we will make sure to clear up all of that. And I will. I definitely want to know why he thinks we should take a safety and if Morag's the guy. If not, we'll get deeper into who he thinks is the guy, right? Jimmy Monzo said, $5 super chat. Appreciate it. He said the game Ruggs missed were weeks 3 and 4 against the Patriots and the Bills, and week 15, our second time against the Chargers. Waller became doubled more. I appreciate the super chat, right? To be 100% honest with you guys, against the Patriots and the Bills, those are 2 good defenses, right? So we were going to score less points against those 2 defenses. But at the same time, the Patriots game specifically, I don't think the Patriots would have ever doubled Henry Ruggs, right? And they would have, right? At the same time, you're always going to bracket different players, especially with the Patriots. The Patriots will bracket a player with the defensive end, right? They just have this weird defense where they'll just do these crazy things. But it is a good point that, the comment that was made earlier about how Henry Ruggs adds points, right, to the Raiders. I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but it is a good point to make, and maybe we'll look into it a little bit more. And, of course, you said the second time against the Chargers. It's a good point. I'm definitely going to look into that. I think it's definitely a good point. I see your comment, but I don't know if I can get it. Safwan Malik, I do see your comment, but it does not. Actually, I didn't answer your question. You asked if I could do a video on Micah Parsons and JOK, and I said that I had already done a video on Micah Parsons. Let me actually go ahead and bring it back up right here. Thank you, Eric Molina, for bringing that up. I do think that Micah Parsons is better than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And I can do a video on the difference between the 2. It might not be on this channel because it isn't really Raider related. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but at the same time, it's kind of not. What do you guys think? Who would you guys rather have? And let me know in the comments below why you guys would take one or the other. I personally would take Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons can play defensive end. He can play linebacker. He can kind of do it all. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, obviously, he's really good in coverage. He played a lot of slot back in college. I don't know how that's going to translate to the NFL because I don't know if Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah aka JOK. I don't know if he is that guy. I don't know if he is the type that could continue playing slot and cover wide receivers, right? Like, could he cover Hunter Renfrow? I don't know, right? And I think Hunter Renfrow is a great player to consider. But at the same time, is he an alpha defensive lineman or defensive linebacker, right? Like, could he hit running backs and set the tone? I don't know, right? Jack kind of said Parsons is a pure pass rusher. He's a good pass rusher, but I don't know if he's a pure pass rusher, right? Parsons can definitely do a ton of different things. There was a question asked about slot corners. Raider fan said, I thought Shaun Wade was still Chang Devontae Smith around. Shaun Wade, man, was one of my favorite players last year. I don't know what the hell happened to him this season, but he really did fall off, man. And it's kind of unfortunate, right? Because Shaun Wade is one of those guys that he has a lot of upside, right? And I see another comment here by Jagir Joel, who says Shaun Wade definitely has a high upside. A slot, not worth the first rounder, but a good player. This year, I don't know what happened to him, man, at Ohio State. And those of you guys that don't know, he's the slot corner for Ohio State. I think this year he did play more corner on the outside as opposed to slot. Last year, he played a lot of safety. And when I saw him at safety, I thought to myself, this guy looks legit. And I came across him while watching Damon Arnett, right? That's when I came across him. Arnett played at Ohio State. And I came across Shaun Wade, and I thought that this guy looks really, really talented. And obviously, at that point, his draft stock was through the roof. He was a top 20 pick. And as the season went on, his draft stock did fall. I would still take Shaun Wade in the second round, honestly. And if you're going to tell me he's going to play safety, obviously, I don't know how he would fit the Gus Bradley system. I don't know if he's a free safety, right? I don't think he's a true free safety. At the same time, I don't think he's a true strong safety in Gus Bradley's scheme, right? Of course, if we did the split safety look, I think he'd be a perfect fit. But yeah, I don't think that makes sense, right? But at the same time, I did really like Shaun Wade. So, but yeah, I do appreciate all the comments, man. And there's 2 more super chats, and I want to get into both of those super chats. I do want to also talk a little bit. Like, do you guys think that the Raiders could possibly take a tackle like Mitchell Schwartz or Eric Fisher, right? The Chiefs released both of these guys. And on top of that, there's other tackles that are still out there. Do you guys think the Raiders should only draft a tackle, or do you guys think it might make sense to not draft, right? And just to go out and get a true tackle that has proven himself, right? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, because I have mentioned that I think it would be wise for the Raiders to possibly just go and sign an offensive tackle before the draft, right? That way you're not set that you have to take an offensive tackle. By the time pick 17 comes around, there's a chance that Penei Sewell, Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, Tevin Jenkins, there's a chance all 4 of those guys are gone. And then at that point, do you really want to reach out for someone like Little or Samuel Cosmi, Jalen Mayfield, Alex Leatherwood? Do you guys really want to reach for one of these guys, right? Let me know in the comments below if you guys would rather just sign a tackle or maybe even just put Denzel Good at tackle, right? I want to give a shout out to Ollie Shrubs here, who left a $2.99 super chat. I think we should trade back to 19 with the Washington football team. That would be great, man. But I don't know, like, why would the Washington football team want to trade back to or trade up 2 picks, right? And them too, it's kind of interesting. I do think the Raiders should consider trading back, right? But we say this every freaking year, man. Like, how many times have we been saying now? This is like the 3rd year where we're like, "Oh, trade a pick back, trade a pick back." It typically does not happen, right? But I would love for I would love to trade back. I do think it does make sense, especially if you can pick up an extra pick or 2. And if you'll only move back 2 picks, like an extra 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick, I think would be worth it, right? And I want to highlight another comment that came in from Jimmy C, who said Justin Jefferson was the best rookie wide receiver. Chase is better than him. I'd rather have him than Pitts. That's a great question, and we can talk a little bit about this. first and foremost, Justin Jefferson was a great rookie, right? 1,400 yards, probably the best rookie over the last decade. 1,400 yards. And think about this. Jamar Chase was the better wide receiver, right? Like Justin Jefferson was great. I had him ranked, I think, as my 5th wide receiver coming out last year. Those of you guys that don't follow me on Twitter, my wide receiver ranking was CeeDee Lamb was 1, Jerry Jeudy was 2. What's the guy's name that went to the Cincinnati Bengals? T. Higgins was 3. Brandon Ayuk for the San Francisco 49ers was 4. Justin Jefferson was 5. 6, I can't remember who it was. I think it was the guy from TCU that went to Philly. 7 was Henry Ruggs. But Justin Jefferson was the best rookie wide receiver over the course of a pretty long time. And the thing is Jamar Chase was better than Justin Jefferson, which just makes you think, like, how great of a player is this guy going to be, right? But you also said, I'd rather have him than Kyle Pitts. I would too, right? I mean, with pick 17, I'd rather have Jamar Chase than Kyle Pitts, especially since we have 2 really good tight ends already. But if Jamar Chase is gone and Kyle Pitts is there, I would still take Kyle Pitts, right? I think if you can make your offense better, you do it, right? But at the same time, that's only if you're 100% certain that, 1, Christian Barmore is not the guy if he's there. 2, do you need a right tackle, or do you already have your right tackle? At that point, you're kind of just picking for whatever you decide can give you the most wins, right? That can have the most impact on your team. Stuart Taylor said, just want to support you, brother. Huge shout out to you. I really, really appreciate it for the $2 super chat. Again, if you guys have questions, leave a super chat and we'll get into those questions. Black Sunday said Jalen Reagor, and that was the guy. That was my number 6 wide receiver. Appreciate you confirming that. Sometimes, you have all these different guys and you just lose that name, right? I want to talk to you guys about Tevin Jenkins a little bit as well. Tevin Jenkins, in my opinion, he was the first offensive tackle I watched, right? Actually, I watched Penei Sewell first, and then I watched Tevin Jenkins second. I even made a video on Tevin Jenkins, and that video has gotten, I think, like 40,000 views, or close to 40,000, or it's approaching 40,000 on my second YouTube channel. And by far my most watched video on that channel. But Tevin Jenkins, in my opinion, is going to be a great player, and he might be there for the Raiders with pick 17. But you know what's crazy is that Tevin Jenkins at one point was not known. He was like a 3rd-round guy on most people's board. That's until Brandon Thorne, a good friend of mine, started pumping him up, man. He started, and he's a genius when it comes to offensive linemen. He started saying that Tevin Jenkins is going to be that next guy. He's going to be that next superstar offensive lineman, and he started throwing the tape out there, man. And when you put the tape on, it's impressive, man. And the guy literally plays football like he is angry, man. And I say that because that's the title of the video, but it's interesting, man. I think Tevin Jenkins would be a great pick for the Raiders. At the same time, you can take a guy like Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, if Slater's there. Any of those 4 guys are probably the only offensive tackles I would take in the first round, right? I wouldn't take Cosmi. I wouldn't take Jalen Mayfield. I wouldn't take Leatherwood, Little. I wouldn't take any of these other guys in the first round because a lot of them have flaws, right? And for that reason, I would not take those guys. There was a comment here I wanted to highlight. Let me find it really quickly. I do appreciate all of these comments, man. Like, they really do mean a ton, and I really do appreciate all the comments, especially the kind words, and even the not so kind words. Like, I see all those, and it is what it is, right? I don't expect every single one of you guys to like me, and that's just what it is, right? That's perfectly fine, right? Timothy Crosby said, you and Carl showed me Jenkins. Yeah, man, I think if Tevin Jenkins is there, you pull the trigger. And I don't think I can find the comment. Let me just check one more time. All right, so don't see the comment, but I do appreciate the comment. The comment was basically saying that, Sanji, I see that you have been hitting the weights. I do appreciate that because it is something that I've recently gotten back into. I've started working out, man, and I used to work out a ton in high school. When I first got out of high school, I used to work out a ton. But once I graduated after college, I stopped working out. I kind of got busy with work. And more recently, I've kind of made a change, right? I've started working out. I've started making the investment in YouTube. Someone actually made the comment saying, YouTube doesn't offer benefits, right? No dental, no health. And that's a good point, right? That is one of the reasons why I'm continuing to work and not just taking the 100% and going all in on the YouTube, right? Is because of the fact that I do need dental, I do need health, at least for the short term. I'd say you give it another year, 2 years, and I will not be working. And hopefully I'd be at the point where YouTube could be a full-time thing for me. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, that is why I have the second channel as well. A couple new super chats. I want to highlight these super chats, and we might end the video a little bit sooner than I wanted to. I do have some things that have just came up, but I do want to answer these super chats and talk about these. A Fakasi Raider, thank you for the $5 super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And I really like your image there. That's a really cool image. But you said, hey, Sanji, been catching you for years now. What you think of taking a chance on Andre Cisco in the third? He played at Syracuse, and I don't know if he's going to be a great player in the NFL. But I'll be honest with you guys. I haven't watched his film. I did watch one tape of his. I don't think he played in 2020. I think he opted out. Don't quote me on that. But I did watch one of his films, and I think that was last year or the year before. But as of right now, I don't know if even a safety in the third round makes sense. We have pick 79 and pick 80. I don't know if it makes sense, right? I just don't know if it makes sense. Unless Carl Joseph's not the free safety. And look, check this out, right? I'd be okay with the Raiders this year saying, hey, we're going to just go with Jonathan Abram and Carl Joseph for this year. And then maybe we'll look into something next year. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, I have no issues with the Raiders saying we're going to just do that for this season. But I want to know what you guys think, man. Like, do you guys think that's okay? Are you guys cool with just taking Jonathan Abram and Carl Joseph and just going with that, right? I would not be mad at all if that's what ended up happening, right? With that being said, I do want to get into this next question. Great question by Aunt6 Soldier. Basically, he is asking who my tackles 1 through 10 are, and that's a great question. And we're gonna just jump right into this, man, because I do have a set of like how I have my guys kind of ranked. I don't know if I can give you 1 through 10 and be like 100% accurate with it, because I do have a lot of guys that I think still need work, right? So I'm going to base this off of potential as well, right? First and foremost, my number one offensive tackle is probably the same as most people, and that's Penei Sewell. And that is only for the sole reason that I think his ceiling is still super, super high. Now, I could even say it's like a 1A, 1B thing with Sewell and Rashawn Slater. And here's the thing, right? Slater really hurt himself by not playing this past year. If Slater played and he played at the level he played in 2019, he could have possibly been considered better than Sewell. Obviously, Sewell has that potential through the roof, right? And the Sewell family is all like that, right? If you guys don't know, Penei Sewell's brothers are very good football players as well. I think one of his brothers is a linebacker. I'm not sure what the other brother does. Maybe he's a defensive end or defensive tackle. But they're a good football family. So don't be surprised, right? If one of the brothers, those two brothers, end up being in the NFL and they're like the next Watt brothers, the Griffin brothers and some of these other guys that have had success in the NFL. But Penei Sewell's 1A, Rashawn Slater's 1B, right? I think those guys are right there. Number 3 for me is Christian Darrisaw. And I know a lot of people love Tevin Jenkins. A lot of people would say Tevin Jenkins is their guy. I think Tevin Jenkins does have some issues, and I think he's not great when it comes to bend. He's not great at his hips. He's a powerful offensive tackle, and he will smack you in your face and lay your ass out. But that doesn't work as well in the NFL when every defensive end, benches 500 pounds, and every defensive end is just as strong. It doesn't work as well, right? The guys that have the most success, in my opinion, are the guys who are quick, strong. At the same time, they're fluid with their feet. They're good with their punches. They're technical. And Tevin Jenkins is a technical offensive tackle, right? Don't get me wrong on that. But right now, Tevin Jenkins is my fourth guy after Christian Darrisaw, who's my third guy. Number 5 is interesting because this is where like people kind of get lost, right? Like, who could it be? Who's your next guy? I like Elijah Vera-Tucker, and the thing is I don't know if he's going to be a tackle or a guard. You can probably put him at both, but if you're going to say Elijah Vera-Tucker's, he is 6'5", I believe he's 6'5". Rashawn Slater is 6'3", right? So Tucker's bigger than Slater is, and I think Tucker could be a tackle in the league. I would put him at number 5 because I do think that his game, right, the way he plays, the way he understands the game of football, it's very good. Now, I will say that he needs to improve on his pass blocking just a little bit. Right after Vera-Tucker at 6 would be Samuel Cosmi, and this is a guy that I think has potential through the roof. I think Samuel Cosmi has the talents to become a top-tier tackle. He's a great run blocker. He's my number 1 run blocking offensive lineman, and him and Christian Darrisaw are right there together. But he does need to continue working on his pass blocking. Samuel Cosmi is the Colton Miller of this draft. He might fall to the second round, and if the Raiders don't take a tackle in the first round, you take Cosmi in the second round, in my personal opinion. Another guy that I like, and at this point, I don't know if I would just rank these guys like above each other because they all have flaws in their game. I really like Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle from Alabama. He kind of reminds me of like Tyron Smith in a freakish, weird way, right? He's strong. He's very, very strong with his initial punch, but he does have to work on his game a little bit. But I think he can be a great player in the NFL. Another tackle I like, and this guy doesn't get the love that he deserves, that's Jackson Carman from Clemson. And I think Raiders Film, Carl, did a breakdown of Carman. Carman's a big freaking guy. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 350 pounds. Like, he's a mammoth of an offensive tackle. Another guy I really like is Michigan's Jalen Mayfield. I think Mayfield has the potential through the roof as well. But, of course, I do like Cosmi more. I think they're similar players. Mayfield's very, very technical, right? And then you have the Notre Dame offense tackle, Liam Eichenberg is, I think, how you say his name. And then outside of that, there's a couple other guys that could all kind of go in the first, second round. I appreciate the comment, man. And I think I'll do a full tackle breakdown of like my guys and how I rank them 1 through 10. So I do appreciate the super chat. Getting into the next question is from Javier Lopez. Left a $5 super chat. Said, glad I was able to catch both of your streams. I'm lucky you started an hour later. Keep up the great work. I appreciate the comment, man. I really, really do appreciate the comment. It really does mean a ton that you guys have all been here for the last hour and 20 minutes. You guys have interacted, left these comments like Javier's here, because it really does mean a lot, And in today's video, I really didn't have a script to follow. I kind of just said, I'm going to just go and base this video on your guys' questions. I did know that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the draft. I do think the Raiders, and then I'll have this final thought. I do think the Raiders need to really consider taking a right tackle in the first round. But at the same time, more than that, I think the Raiders would be wise to not take a tackle in the first round and go get a guy like Mitchell Shorts. You don't need your tackle of the future today, right? You can have your tackle for the next 2 years just today, right? It's not necessary to get your future today. It's just not necessary, right? Go get a player like Mitchell Shorts for 1 or 2 years. Go get a quarterback or a cornerback for 1 or 2 years. There's no point of getting a guy for the next 5 to 10 years it's not necessary, and it's not necessary to reach a pick 17, right? If top 4 offense tackles go, and they will 100% be gone, right? There's no way Darrisaw, Jenkins, Sewell, Slater, there's no way these guys are going to be there at pick 17. I don't want you reaching for Cosmi or Mayfield or Leatherwood or Little, right? I don't want you guys reaching. I want you guys to take the best player that's there. That kind of fills the need, right, for the Raiders a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. This one was an hour and 20 minutes, and I really appreciate every single one of you, almost 300 people that are watching right now. Hit that thumbs up button before you guys go. If you have not already, hit that thumbs up button. And I hope you guys all have a great week, right? It's going to be a busy week for myself. I probably will try to get at least 3 or 4 videos done this week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will have 0 content for you guys. I am attending a wedding next week. So I will probably be busy, but I will put out content before that. I might even make a video tomorrow, and who knows, maybe I'll go live from my cell phone, right? There is a chance that I can always do that as well, right? So I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to all of you guys that are on watching. And I hope you guys all have a great week, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.